Hello and welcome to episode 27 of our Timberborn 1.0 Waterbeavers playthrough, cycle 26, day 10. We got some big bamboo, we got some big trees, and we have some big dreams. That was corny, I'm sorry. But we do. We have a lot of stuff we need to take care of, and this side of the map is looking pretty appetizing right about now. There's a big flat space right here that isn't too far away from what we have going on. And I think, along with at least a few of you, it would be a decent place to try to put an ENS. We are still decent ways away from having that be possible because we need more science, but all is not lost because now we have two libraries working on producing it, both on the fast recipe, and that means we're going to get there just a little bit faster. Outside of that, we have some more improvements to make over here. We do need to keep blasting this down, planting more stuff. We got plenty more room for trees. And speaking of trees, underneath the trees, we can plant grapes. So guess what? Grapes. I think there's a couple other spots I'd missed. You guys have been good about reminding me in the comments when I have and have not followed through with what I said I was going to do. It's just really hard to see underneath these things, so, you know, honestly, it's really easy to miss. But I believe that should cover it just about. And as things continue improving... Wait a second. If I can put grapes, that means I can put a path as well. So I'll forego a few grapes there if it means I can plant another sequoia pretty close. Which, you know, I should be able to do. We want to take advantage of this 15% boost here, so obviously that is something that is going to be very helpful as time goes by. But like I said, this area over here I think would be a good place for an ENS, and we do have a tunnel that is in the process of being cleared. We just have to get these ruins out of the way. And yeah, it looks like that's just a little bit too far. I wonder if I could persuade them to do it if I move the path just a tiny bit closer. Looks like the answer is yes. Okay, so they're going to work on that. We have this area over here. A couple of you said, you know, you didn't really need to have the upgrade for the assistant farmers on this plot. I'm not entirely sure I agree, to be perfectly honest with you. But considering how this is completely full of rice and we do still have rice available to be harvested, I feel like they're doing enough work to make it worthwhile to keep, at the very least. We're slowly rebuilding our stocks of a bunch of different types of food. It does take time, as we have said. But things are progressing in a manner that I feel is good. Meanwhile, we have a lot of sunflowers that are not being harvested here, which has led a few of you to say, hey, you need to put another farmhouse up here. And you know what? You're probably right. But we have to be able to get over here and remove all these ruins and everything, and yeah, we know we're kind of not there right now. Even more things you guys have suggested. Scouting balloon probably shouldn't be turned off. I will hesitatingly agree and make sure this bottom bit is also turned on. I've got 86 of these things. There is some room for more. And then, of course, the building itself will hold some. So I guess we'll see. It never hurts to have more of these, and we are making a decent quantity of paper. So if that ends up being a problem, we can pause it. Other things. A couple people said, oh, your farmhouse isn't gathering nenifars anymore. Yes, it is. It's just not gathering all of them because I told it not to. But that brings us to this area here where I had complained that they were harvesting them too quickly. So, how we can kind of fix that is unplanting the area around here. We're going to have to be careful since these are being harvested. But the mature plants will be able to spread, according to most of you. So I do think that is worth doing. Just allowing them to, you know, make their way over here. And I think we can mostly leave that alone. Now, the floating zipline pylon, I was told I need to be using, and also gives you the observation deck thing. It was just another scientific expense I didn't really want to go with, and I think the last time I was seriously considering it, we hadn't even been making methane. So, we will use these. Don't think it's that big of a deal. But regarding methane, we are, you know, going through a surprising amount of it running this methane engine. And we do have some stored, so it's not like we're out. It's just that, you know, you see the nenifars here set to 0 because they're basically all being processed, and you might think that we don't have any. That's just not true. They're just being used extremely efficiently. Should we have more? Yeah, we absolutely should. But for now, we know there's not a ton else we can do. They can still get down here with these staircases. I just didn't want them to remove all of these. But the lotus flowers that I'm trying to protect need to actually be used as well. And for that to be a thing, we need to check and see what is using the lotus flowers. And those are these two buildings here, these cooking houses, or tea lodges, I'm sorry. Making fried rice and making lotus flower tea. And the storage for the lotus flower tea is full. Storage for the fried rice is very not full. This is also not prioritized, so let's fix that. We should see a bunch of fried rice go into the warm storage pot at the Hand of Soup. And right now it does not seem like that is the case. So harvesting is something that people were expressing concern about. The Harvester's Cottage is not actually able to reach a lot of these things. So why don't we help them out by putting in some stairs to where they can access some of these things. I don't know how many this one will be able to get to, but it should be, you know, some decent amount. And I cannot remember if there was one over here that I got rid of, but there was some sort of access that was cut off when I removed this staircase, because I wanted to put the farmhouse here. And that, of course, is a natural consequence that we're going to have to deal with. Other things. This path here could be removed and could be used for other purposes, but right now there's nothing I really want to put right here, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But generally speaking, doubling paths and ziplines is not really a useful thing because the beavers are just going to take the ziplines anyway. Once again, I'm talking while it is the middle of the night. Alright, let's get that sped up. I don't remember the scavenger flags only holding 5 scrap metal. That seems like a very specific Waterbeavers modification. So let's defend ourselves against that a tiny bit by putting a couple of these small piles. Put one there, there, and I suppose here. Just so they have somewhere to put stuff. We have a bad tide coming in 3 days. We basically automated the bad tides out of relevancy for the most part. This keeps coming up, so I did want to address it. People keep saying, raise the dams. We can't, because then we're going to flood all of this. So there's not really any point in raising these at all. Or this one, because the same kind of deal. We're going to flood downstream. Upstream, rather. Because this is a little tiny bit lower. We are probably this episode going to get some golden sequoias, and those, of course, are going to be cut down by the golden sequoia feller. Who else? And then those will have to be processed, should we wish to process them, and not just use them for recipes that don't require processed, or half logs or whatever. That'll have to go in the advanced sawmill, but the next 2,000 science are going to go to the ENS, as we decided. So, what can we make with these things without processing them? Well, anything that is the full-size sequoia log. And there's a couple things, if I am correct. Yeah, these giant pillars, which are very useful as we get into stuff that uses mega platforms, like the clockwork things. But, you know, the mega platforms require their own eldritch abomination of a giant mutated firefly to get the glowing fluid. And that is... trying to remember exactly... there it is, under science. The Firefly Grooming Station, which, yes. Chance of firefly death. Don't mess with the fireflies, kids. It's not going to go well for you. But at any rate, I'm very interested to see if these do spawn into these adjacent things. People did tell me that that was something that would happen. But until it does, I'm not going to be too worried about it. Alright, the Harvester's Cottage... you know, it actually doesn't say... yeah, it's not giving them any additional space. Alright, you know, I really don't think I've made a great choice with how I've laid this out. This isn't being used, and it's paused, so let's do this for the sake of my personal sanity. I'm going to relocate this to be more of a straight line so that this has a fighting chance to go straight through here. Maybe this could get a few of these. Yeah, it looks like there's a small quantity that it can reach there. So now I just don't remember exactly. Is this a harvester's office? It is, and this is the harvester's office that is supposed to be harvesting. So maybe the issue wasn't access. Maybe the issue was just storage the entire time, which we did kind of discuss. But it never hurts to give these guys something else to do, and that also, you know, streamlines paths just a tiny bit. I remain very interested in this being taken care of, but we're not using the scrap metal fast enough, and I kind of don't want to just build stuff everywhere. I autopilot to the old location. That's what happened there, if you were curious. Okay, metal blocks and drill bits. So both of those are completely full. Metal block storage is not... No, it says it is. It's just the bar isn't all the way up. Well, I think this would be a good opportunity for us to just make another storage so they can keep making metal blocks. At some point, I will want to use the science to research these stackable piles. The gigantuan ones, this one at least, does not seem to have a sleeping quarters for 30 beavers like the giant tank does, so maybe we can build some of those at some point. But again, I'm saving the science for the ENS. And we do have the requisite things to do that. I need to make sure this is making scaffoldings. It is. Okay, that's fine. This one should also be making scaffolding. Yes. Our storage for scaffoldings is very full. Alright, well, it seems like we're not going to ever have enough grapes or anything. And they're not storing anything here either, are they? Okay. Well, for the time being, seems like the rice balls are not that big of a deal, so I'm going to make this instead. How in the world did I just forget what I was about to do? Oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, lotus flowers. Pretty sure that's what I was going to make more storage for. And if it's not, then, well, that's what it is now. Okay, just going through my list here. I was informed that leaving this platform here will, in fact, make it impossible for this pump upgrade to do much of anything. And since we can't blast this down at all, I will go ahead and just remove this. So that can get the full depth that it needs to. Water storage probably could be increased. And yeah, you know, all these florists probably don't have to be a thing anymore. Especially with all the sunflower seeds we are wishing we hadn't used. Plant fibers for ropes. Believe it or not, we're still out of plant fibers. But the unbelievably tall bamboo, in theory, should help us with that as these grow up and are harvested. 10 days. Should have our first harvest of these pretty soon, courtesy of the lumberjack barn. And they have a select few that they're allowed to cut down, those right there. So, you know what I'm probably going to do? Probably going to start switching some of these back over to berries. So I've got, how many of these? I've got like 6. I wonder who that is. Yeah, I've got 6 of these things making these, and we're still out. That goes to show you we're actually using these. Or I just have a lot of storage, one or the other. So let's do... I really don't want to do this in the middle of the night. I want to let them at least finish this recipe, but I'm going to turn the bottom row into berry production instead of plant fiber production. Try to slowly reverse that trend. So that one's at 82, that one's at 43, that one's at 75. So we're going to let this one finish and then swap it over. There we go. Whenever this one gets into work, then I guess they'll continue. Yeah, this is maybe cause for concern with the sawdust consumption, but we'll see what happens. Okay, that's done. And that one just moved over, so I'm gonna swap it. We're gonna see how upsetting that apple cart, that was the wrong button, how upsetting that does anything. Yeah, we're not getting all of these sunflowers in time, so I do think we need to put another one of these in. The hauler upgrade maybe should not have been built on top of this. I don't know, man. Like, the upgrade system is challenging, I guess we should say. Try and find better alternatives. Okay, so this has a path. Let's go through here. Get this hooked up, and then this is going to get us to here, and then this will require we remove these, or the better, more fun option is to blow a hole in the ground. And that will, of course, get us over to this area where, you know what? It might actually be faster and easier to just go that way instead. So let's do that. And if you're wondering why I'm bothering to have a tunnel through here, well, before we can put zip lines in, we have to actually build them. So they do have to get to the location that is going to permit them to do that. Alright, 83%, you're a quitter. Okay. Now that this is fully caught up, fully grown in, I will concede that possibly we don't need this. And if I'm going to replace it, it's going to be with a nerdy attic so they can use the wooden toys. But do they have all of those under possessions? No, I haven't been making those. We have so many things to catch up with. Wooden toys, I believe that's a handicrafter's lodge. And I remember trying to nightmare scenario select any of these things. Yeah, explosives, I've got 81. I'm probably not going to need a crazy amount of explosives, but at some point we will need to change this over. Let's, for now, just swap this to wooden toys and just let them pump these things out. Fermentation houses probably need to be replaced. And considering these aren't even doing anything anyway, no better time than the present to just not do that. So, in the spirit of actually attempting to get something accomplished today, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this over to here. And I wonder, is there a... No, there is not. Okay. So I can actually put 3 of these in here and have this be a side loader. These were making chestnut beer, by the way. So if I have 3 of these making chestnut beer, then they can not make it even faster because there's not enough chestnuts. But when the supply improves, then they will be in a better spot. Berries are still really low, but at least we have these making berries, which can not be doing any harm. Okay, up here. We have actually, thank you autosave, gotten all the way through. So let's recover some materials and put in this right like so. Now we are out to the other side. And we can pretty easily just come straight across here. We just have to find the approach that will work the best. It looks like it's 5 wide there. If I go here, I can do a 3x and a 3x, which will look pretty nice. And be a straight line, which is always good. And that will get us pretty close to what we want to be doing. There's power right here. It's not a lot of power, but there is power. We have the ability to put in water wheels. And there's other power available down here. Remember that the ENS does not require power. But there are other things we're going to want to do around here that may be beneficial to have power. And there's also a relic that's going to give us science. So I'm going to mark that. They can walk through these to do that. That is never an issue. Let's leave that alone for a little bit. Yeah, see, they're harvesting lotuses. Seems to be going okay. Now what I don't see is I don't see lotuses spreading from our authorized reproducing spots here. Maybe it takes time. I don't know. Maybe they have to have the flowers on them to actually spread. I don't know. This feels like it's an area that isn't... No? Okay, that might just be a range issue. Not entirely sure. Well, regardless, they're still not getting all of these sunflowers, so we do need to do something about that. I just can't get up here. Oh, you could get up there if you didn't put that. Look. Look, I understand. But this is the only other spot I could really do it. Okay. The thing that is going to happen here is... honestly... oh, I have the spiral stairs. That is a thing that I can do. Because I have the ability to use fun, different things. Well, it's ugly, but guess what? It works. And you know our rule about something being stupid but also working. So, in the interest of getting this specific thing cleared out, probably the easiest way to do that is going to be to put a scavenger flag here and a scavenger flag here, so this is the closest one for both of them. Get that cleared out, blast this down, and put 3 in a row, tic-tac-toe, G.I. Joe, etc. And then put another farmhouse, and then put an upgrade on top of that farmhouse. Continue blasting this down because we can, and go on from there. I will make use of these stairs to get around. We just, again, have to do what we can do with what we got. That's slowly filling up. That should be decent. We're about to have the bad tide come in. Everything has been automated, so there should be no issues. And I believe, folks, we are going to be in a pretty good spot. So let's get this triple sped and take a look at some of these other things on the list. Talked about the ENS. You know, the pumpkin chip situation over here. Not looking great. Because, well, we don't really have a lot of pumpkins. But besides that, there is not a salt mine. I did technically make one by turning this over to mountain salt. But at some point, we're going to have to put this back on coal iron. Anyway. We're looking pretty good, all things considered. This is substantially less space than it was before, which means less contamination later on. None of this is leaking, which is fantastic. Maybe if I really felt inclined, I would do this. That may cause this to splash a tiny bit when these get built. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. This will continue going until it gets all the way up. And then this corner, because it's, you know, empty, will still accrue whatever, but it's better than the alternative, which is mass nonsense. Alright, so regarding pumpkins, this area over here I had slowly started converting into pumpkin land. We're just not really making enough pumpkins, but I don't want to take anything away from these other types of food because we really don't have that much food. Okay, these have been harvested. We do have some plant fibers that seems to be doing okay. They're making progress here. They're making very good progress, even if it is a little slow. Have they started doing any of this? I guess technically no, huh? Why are they going down here? Did I accidentally create like a back door to the farmhouse? High score of 32 is good. I'm assuming that's the wooden toys coming into play. Maybe? We got about half a point. So, oh, that's a +2 then if it's 0.4 at only a quarter of the beavers. Alright. Like to see that. That's continuing to be alright. Yep. I don't see a lot of grapes being harvested. And is that just because we've missed it or what? Okay, they got minty bamboo shoots, but they can also get grapes. Maybe I've just completely missed. I guess I could just check to see if they're eating them. Yeah. They're snacking on those grapes. Okay. Well, that was always allowed. This has not gone down. Well, I guess I can see somebody working on it, so it's not the end of the world. In 7 days, I imagine they're probably going to pump a good amount of this out. We need to expand our chestnut stuff. Pine resin, you know, for all the hemming and hawing that we did, myself included, about all of this pine resin being super necessary, it doesn't look like they're using all of it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down these 4 rows of pine trees, and I'm going to start replacing them with chestnuts. Because that is what this will actually allow. And then maybe at some point we expand the ground here if we have a bunch of dirt we have nothing to do with. But for now, this is better used as chestnut farming. Just have to let them do what they got to do. We are going to have to reactivate this forester for that to be a thing. We'll just make that a temporary setup. Don't necessarily want to babysit that. 1800 science. How close are we? Okay, just over 1800. Well, this is all dead, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, it's hard to see exactly because of the UI scaling, but I would like to try and have as many things that are used by the ENS stored by the ENS as we possibly can. And some of these things we're not going to have until we get the abyssal exploration going. But I do see a very common trend of having pencil sets, paper, logs, sawdust, etc. And all of those things are things we could easily have over here. Be a little bit better at storing. So we got tons of space right here. If we want to cheese it a little bit, we could blast this down and let this just be our preferred bad water exit and then put in some more power over here. We do have the ability, should we build these, and there's actual flow happening, which would be if we lowered this, we can research these larger water wheels and get a pretty decent amount of power. Again, for other things, not necessarily ENS, but I don't think it would do us any harm to have these 4 out, and the easiest way to do that is going to be to put in... Oh, I can't do that directly over that, but I can do it next to it. We know they can do that. Let's get that attached there. That will help us quite a bit. Also, maybe decontaminate this just a touch. Probably we'll have those things pointed out toward this side because that's where the power is. For now, probably going to be best for me to start doing storages on this side. I don't want to go over the top of this because I want to maintain the flow. But we can always move or change if we so desire. So we could have large warehouses all the way down here. 1, 2, 3. We could do 4 actually if I time it right. By time I mean place. If we don't like it, we'll move it. This seems like it should not be a big deal. I know they probably can't reach most of this. We'll fix that. So go all the way through here. We talked about pencil sets. We talked about paper. And I already forgot. Okay. Pencil sets, paper, mushrooms. I wish I could see the science recipe. That would be great. But it's all the way at the top of the screen and I can't. So that will have to be something we wait for. But I don't think it would be a bad idea to have storage for all of the brain boosting salts. Because that shows up in almost every recipe. And then maybe we just leave one of the other ones alone. So that's what we'll do for now. Seems okay. Let's hit K for kaboom. That's going to start draining, so of course that's going to be powerful, and it's going to slow down at some point. But I am sickeningly curious. 700-ish. Not bad for one. And of course this could be just built on top of something else, but that would not be a horrible thing. Now I know because I built these things right here, you're going to say, you can't put anything on that side. Well, that is where you are wrong, friendo, because all I have to do is just build something to support this from the side, and it'll still make plenty of power. Should not be any. Look how fast they filled that up. Wowee. Okay, so this needs zip lines. We already talked about that. This is not super close. So I think the distance between the zip lines when you're using the floating platform is higher than the normal one. Don't quote me, but we could easily, yeah, this is going all the way over here, and then it stops when we get to, wow. all the way over here and it still's going to let me do it. That is astonishing. So why don't we try for this? Although I do see my 2000 science, so guess what that means? It means it's time to research this bad boy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that in French. Where's the doorway? On that side? Okay, so we're going to have this facing... might as well just kind of shove this as far back as it'll go. Leave some space on the front here so we can actually, you know, get a decent screenshot of it later. Right. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get this thing done. But if I turn on the science point recipe, oh, you know, that's not going to show until the thing's actually done, but that's what we want. Okay. So, pretty close to this, we are going to want to have a zipline station. We already talked about that to a certain extent. We'll get that done in due time. This is got 29, that's fine. We're making it work. They've pumped more than a more than a block's worth, all of these things, so we may need to seek out some sort of deepening strategy for all of this. I did like the idea that someone posed in the comments of connecting these with a tunnel at the bottom. The problem, of course, is how do you get beavers down here to kind of equalize this? Probably easiest thing to do, so this is 3. Easiest thing to do would be to start deepening this and then just ladder down. So we already know this will be fine, and they wanted me to connect to this and this anyway. We already know that's going to be fine. We've got a decent amount of explosives, but not really enough to do something on the scale of what I'm attempting to do. We just need to slowly increase it if we can. Okay, they're actually making decent progress over here. As soon as I see 250 science, I'm getting that balloon zipline thing, though you better believe it. These are paused because I didn't want this to dry up. That's fine. These have not grown, have not reproduced, or anything, so that's a little unfortunate. This is at 5%, and we're going to say goodbye to that thing. And we are going to plant chestnuts instead. I need to unmark the rest of these as cutting, and I'll unmark that one too because it doesn't matter. And as soon as those get planted, I think we can probably just leave this alone for the most part. Berry storage here can probably be moved, like someone said, over the lake, which means that would give me a little bit more space for some chestnut trees if we really needed it. The berries are just such a huge problem at the moment. That's not going to be a terribly fun thing to fix. Okay, I got 268 minty bamboo shoots. Those go in various recipes that we can't really do much with yet. Actually, I should check. The distillery uses those to make endothermic essence. We should start making endothermic essence, and I think, where is my bamboo shoot storage? Is it up here? No, it's over here. Alright, this may not be the best spot for this to go, so I don't want to necessarily have a permanent installation, but I wonder... Let's take a look at the structure of the building. Yeah, the doorway's on the one end facing the side. So I could, without too much annoyance, I could actually build this directly over the path. Assuming it doesn't intersect with the zipline, which it probably will. Let's just try this. Humor me for a second here. I say to my audience of people that could very easily just leave if they didn't like it. Okay. That's not gonna work, but don't despair, because we have a wonderful technology called moving it somewhere else. And once I have these balloon pylons, I can probably... Yeah, that'll elevate the snot out of it. I could probably stick one of these about right here and just bypass all of this entirely. So that is, you know, for lack of a better setup, That is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and let them build that. I need to put in a ladder. And that can go on that side, get that attached. And that can be a distillery just for endothermic essence because, you know, this is where the stuff is being pulled from. Okay, good progress being made here. Planks may be a concern, but we kind of already knew that. Incredibly compact library set. That is what we use to make this library that we are using to make science. So we either need to make another one by making more library books, or we need to tear down this second library. I think it's probably more beneficial to just tear down the library to get the set instead of just waiting another like half a cycle to make 200 books. Because the ENS is going to start getting us a lot. Look how fast this is going. It's getting us a lot of science. Yeah, okay, I like that. That is a prodigious quantity. How many of these can I fit in? If that fits there, okay, so really only 2. I can actually leave that in place if I just build here and here. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I do want to widen this. Because they do have the nub on the end. And it transfers power out and then to both sides. So we need to keep that in mind. Okay, got 200 some science. Remember, it is 250 to get this thing. And I should have zipline stuff. I got 25. Good. Good, good, good. And that would, the balloon would also help us solve this issue. As we, you know, make our way around. Still working on that relic. That is fine. This is about to be blown up. That could theoretically end up causing problems with this. But I think for right now it's... Well, it's very loud. How deep? How deep? 2? Okay. I'm going to use the power of spiral stairs. 1, because I like them, and 2, because I can. And then this will get us all the way over here to the tunnel. They can build that with no issues. And we can increase capacity by just tunneling the heck out of this beneath everything else we're doing. I think for right now this will be fine to just have this single tunnel because I don't have infinite dynamite. But that is an idea that we can take with us into the future. Now we are only waiting on the incredibly compact library set. Alright, library. I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you the opportunity to make me books before the next time I remember that I don't have enough books. And I'm going to set this to start importing books. So you have until I remember to figure it out, or else I'm going to have to delete you. Okay, get rid of that. This is, I think, about to get pumped dry. Honestly, I should be pausing these during the droughts or bad tides, but I do think having a bigger reservoir in general is a better policy than just pausing. We will see. Obviously, there's only so much inflow that we have from this thing here, and then there's a source on this side, and then whatever overflow comes from this side after that's been shoved through here. So in the interest of increasing what we have access to, yeah, 47 explosives isn't really going to be enough, but I do need to blast this down. Well, I don't need to. Okay, there goes all these unharvested sunflowers. Well, they have 7 days. That's really as far as we go. We really need one of those irrigation baths over here. It's on the list of things to do. Did they manage to... Okay, yeah, they've actually gone pretty far amount in here. Just got to get this last bit in. These will be connected. Not that they really needed to be, but this will, you know, really help things in the future. Okay. Get that done. Yeah, I mean, the amount of water coming in here really isn't a ton out of this and that and that and that. So we may just kind of be up against the 8-ball here. I don't know that there's any other freshwater sources in the vicinity. I guess we could scroll down and see what shows up on the map. All the way down, probably easiest. Yeah, you know, I don't really see anything. See, this is 1.0, which in theory, in the base game, has a couple of other options for us, but this is Waterbeavers, and those are not there. So we do have water cannons. We can import water from somewhere else. We've got aquifer drills. If there's an aquifer, I don't think this map has what we're looking for in that regard. But there's also this thing, the aquifer pump, which is described in the mod as, quote-unquote, a perverse contraption using arcane powers to extract water from the ground. So, you know, if we wanted to, we could pop a bunch of these bad boys in here. Just have to find a spot that it will fit, and it does have to go on top of our favorite combination of buildings, which is the triangle things. So, you know, we have opportunities to do things that may or may not make sense. Just have to figure out what we can actually build. Obviously, this is still waiting. So I have remembered. How many books? 31. Well, we're only 42 minutes and 23 seconds into the recording at this exact moment, so I think I can ignore that for another little bit of time. This is very dry. But none of this is going to die. I thought this was an irrigation thing. No, I rebuilt it to be a forester because I was like, I don't need irrigation over here. Well, I'll tell you what we can and should probably do is make ourselves a little irrigation station inside of this. We're not going to need this. I could just deepen a couple of 3x3s here and there to hold pockets of water that can't be pumped or flushed out. That just seems like that would be a smart move. There is some danger that these would harbor bad water after this gets cleaned up, but, you know, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. What I'm going to do, though, is I am going to wait until after this resets to explode these, because I do not want to hold the bad water down there in those chambers. But this should be, at the very least, some sort of help. We can maybe do, instead of just, you know, instantly getting rid of something else, should be able to do something like that over here, should we decide that's worth doing. But it's about to be the end of the bad tide anyway, so let's see what happens as these things get cleaned up. And we'll just have to move on from there. I say as it takes a very, very, very long time for that to end, because that's what happens every time. I don't know what I expected. I knew these didn't have... Uh-oh. Okay, no, they're going to survive. They're fine. 41. Alright, I'm going to maybe do the slightly inadvisable thing of having both libraries make books, because I really don't want to get rid of them if I don't have to, but I can do these zipline pylons now. This bad boy is about to get built right here. And look, oh wow, it's got a range of 40 meters. Okay, well, that means that I can put another one of these down here, and that should be pretty easy to connect. Theoretically, it's not going to show me until that's finished. But these can connect to 3, which is nice. And this has a viewing platform, but I think it might need it might need a ladder to get up there. Or do they come off of the zipline? Do they teleport through the ground there? I guess we will find out, because it's not giving me the you can't reach this thing. Alright, beavers, are you going to, are you going to show me what's up? Are you going to show... Aha, there is a beaver. There is a beaver. Oh, there was. You can't see it anymore. There it is. I love that. They just teleport up through this magical barrel, and now they have a beautiful place to, you know, go and not do their work. Alright, now the thing that I'm really interested... Okay, good. So that will fit here, but it's not going to let me get down to the ground. Regular zipline station... Oh, that's not the regular one. Regular zipline station is not in range, although it doesn't seem to care about angles coming down to this side. Oh, wow, that's 50 degrees like that? Alright, well, I don't want that built there. we do have to consider the Pythagorean theorem when placing this. Which, don't make me do math, it's not going to go well for anyone involved. It looks like that's the closest we can get is right here. Now, I don't necessarily want this to be here. But it's not the worst thing. If that's going to be the closest I can get. I really like this zipline station. I really want to build this. I will not, because I don't currently have a good enough reason to do that. So what I will do is I will just put this here. Wow, yeah. And that's going to be how we get to the ENS. And books-wise, up to 68. I can be easily persuaded, apparently, to just ignore things when it's convenient. Alright, that's troubling. Yeah, I have the, what do you call them thing, Handicrafter's Lodge, not doing anything super crazy useful, except making wooden toys, which I should hope most of the beavers have by now. Yeah, they almost do. Do I have a storage for wooden toys? That is a very good question. Let's check. I forgot it's not sorted by that. Okay, well, you know what? No, we're not cavemen. We have technology. We have Tool Finder. So if I search wooden toys, that's not going to show me the storage. Oh, well, I tried. Oh, no. Oh, no. What am I gonna do with myself? That's the real question. Alright, so that's, yeah, that's gonna have to wait. This is still not got enough water coming in here. Alright. I always forget that this is a thing. I'm gonna have to get more clean water coming through here, because this is... Oh, because this has to refill all of this before it's gonna do a single tiny iota of this. That's unfortunate. These are going to... Some of them are going to die. Cabbage I don't really care so much about, but these sunflowers would be very annoying if they did. Well... Yeah, this is just gonna flood. Yeah, I really didn't do myself any favors with this one. Oh well, you live and you learn. Maybe I should have had a another irrigation thing over here. I can't look at that anymore. I'm going to just be upset. Okay. At some point, this does have to be full enough to overflow. And it looks like that just started. Alright, at least these are irrigated. These are very, very close to dying. This should spill over momentarily. And as soon as it does, we should be pretty much okay. Okay, those are starting to die. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Do I need to make this a floodgate too? I feel like I'm going to have to. But I'd rather not, because that's just expensive for no reason. Alright, now we're spilling over. And that seems to be fine. Alright. I did say I was going to reroute things over here, and I don't want to be made a liar, so... If that's 30, I'm going to hope that this will fit. Maybe I should have this come out to about as far as it can go here. Okay, well that is 28 meters and it will go. And then that would be 19, which will go. Alright, so as soon as this is built, all I have to do is I also need to make more balloons. Alright, so handicrafters had their fun making wooden toys, but I think I'm going to have to send them back on the balloon thing now. Unless this one is... Oh, they're still making pencil sets. These are things that can be done in the assembly line, I'm pretty sure. I just haven't really, Yeah, that was something I was waiting for more stuff to do, and then I didn't do it. Anyway, I need balloons. I need to check and see if everybody's got a, water buffalo. Yours is fast, mine is slow. Alright, come on. Thank you. Don't have enough wooden toys made quite yet. Wow. Alright. So, these guys are about to have a very bad day falling off the zipline, but you know what? Sucks to suck. That's going to go there, that's going to go there. Problem solved. This should be now enough space for us to put our distillery here. Set this to endothermic essence. I cannot remember if endothermic essence is a solid or a liquid. I know it's not a gas, so... Okay, I'm assuming at this point it's a liquid. So why don't we do this? I know this is supposed to not be a liquid. Don't tell me it's a gas. Those are so expensive. Well, that answers that question. That is unfortunate. I'm going to leave this. Yeah, I'm going to have to just leave that there. I know we were going to, you know, demolish this, etc. Oh, we got big boys coming in. We got big boys coming in. That means, if this is marked for cutting, which it should be, we get to see these things get chopped. Look at them just like merge like that. Isn't that majestic? You should see these wiggling shortly as this guy goes to cut things down. Now I'm just going to sit here waiting. Okay, where are you? You're waiting? No, 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 my good sir. You cannot be waiting. You cannot be waiting because you have a task. Oh, I didn't tell you to do it. All right, that's on me. That's 100% my fault. Now, we can see these things start wiggling. I said, we can see these things start wiggling. They are marked. They are marked. Do your job. There you go. Or are you not doing your job? No, you are not doing your job. You are consuming mushrooms. Come on. You know, I was so excited to show everybody all this stuff that you're working on. And you're sitting there not doing that. Why are you the way that you are? Why are you the way that you are? Is this a glitch that I have to work around, or is there some other sort of thing that I don't know about? Because now we got these giant trees and I can't do anything with them. Well, I guess we can just kind of leave this alone. Or is it not going to do it because I don't have any storage specifically for those? No, it says it stores a few of them. Now I am concerned. Well, not concerned enough to really do anything about it right now. We almost have enough library books. So, you know, I'm glad we waited. Because it would not have really done us that much good to have an ENS for, what, an additional 2 days in game, 3 days in game? Is this the sawdust overflow? It is. Okay, that was why I built that. Seems like that's doing okay. We don't have a lot of sawdust right now, so that's turned off. Leave that alone. I am very interested to see this come to life here. Paper, obviously we don't have a ton of because we were not making very much to begin with. This is waiting on... what else? Sawdust. Alright, that's making planks, which it probably doesn't need to be making planks and probably just be making straight sawdust. This one's making screw press, this one's making screw press, this one's making... Okay, that first of all needs to be set to sawdust if it's on the sawdust low alert. We already knew that. Alright, 197, 198, 199, one more, and then they can start making incredibly compact books. Just by sticking them in a press. I think I already mentioned the hydraulic press channel video where they try to fold the piece of paper more than 7 times and it explodes. Then that video went viral. Anyway, it's making the press thing. This is no longer using books because it's not the Folktales one anymore, but we can continue to accrue some books. I'm just going to not have this be all books. I'm going to set back to science. And we still have not cut down a single tree. You are idle. You know what they say about idle hands? Like, come on. You need to, you know, figure your life out. Okay. You are fired. Give me a new beaver. No, not you. Alright, we're going to leave that. Now I just need the incredibly compact library books that should be... okay, it's going to stop at 80... No, it's going to keep going? I didn't think this one worked without... Okay, it doesn't. Alright, so tomorrow in game we will have plenty of stuff. Okay, yeah, food is still not in a great position, but it's about to get a whole lot better once we can get all these other things taken care of. Come on, man. Okay, new beaver, new me. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get a nice night's sleep after you go all these other places. Then you're going to wake up and you're going to go cut down a giant tree, because that's what you're supposed to do. I guess we will see if I have to fire this one too. Or, you know what? The other possible thing is that those trees are not in range, even though I specifically tried to fix that problem. I guess we'll find out. Alright, wake up. Wake up and smell the cat food. Let's go. Don't make me look like an idiot just standing here staring at this all day. It appears that is what they are content to do. Well, that's disappointing. But what's not disappointing is that we are about to have our incredibly compact library books, and this is about to be finished. Just working really fast to get that taken care of. And then I can finally see what the recipe for the science is. Okay, let's take this out of triple speed. Science recipe is brain-boosting salts, fried rice, grapes, lotus flower tea, and pumpkin chips, and spicy sodas. My god. Alright. Here's some greedy beavers over here. Let me tell you what. Okay, they need tanks for all of this stuff. I'm gonna do this. Let's do spicy soda, lotus flower tea. Because I know we are making these. These can be prioritized. Come on. There we go. Brain-boosting salts we already have to some degree. Fried rice requires a hand of soup. Grapes and pumpkin chips require storage. So, guess what can go in here? That's right, it's pumpkin chips. And then easiest thing to do is just going to be to have another storage for grapes, even though we're probably not going to have that many grapes. We are trying. Alright, hand of soup. It is time for another hand to hold the soup. We'll just stick this right next to here because why not? Fried rice, the hand of fried rice soup. Or is it more of a goulash? Anyway. This says it has... There are so many words, excuse me, that I wish to say at this exact moment. Many of you have probably already said them. But yes, it appears I have forgotten that this does in fact have a 1000 HP power input. So how am I going to solve this problem? Well, I'm going to have power put in here. And I think probably the easiest way to do that, short of some sort of just extremely stupid thing, is to just build a methane engine. Because that produces the exact amount of power needed. And, you know, just shove it on in there. So this is not a horrible spot for this to go. It is, you know, objectively not a great spot for it to go, but it is a spot for it to go. And go it shall. This is so annoying, but it is what it is. This will go... Actually, this is a good opportunity to put in a spiral staircase. You know how much I love those. Okay. Methane engine. We'll need a methane storage in a gas tank. What about... Yeah, why not? I've already borne my shame to basically everyone who's seen these videos anyway. How much do I have in storage here? 13,000. Wow, okay. So the good news is they can just transfer some of it over here. This may end up being slightly empty as a result. Nenifars are being slowly turned into it. I can't remember... Yeah, I just don't have enough. They are making a decent quantity of it here. We just aren't harvesting quite as fast. So I have to wonder if... Tell you what. We'll go ahead and plant this. Can't really reach much else. Yeah, because that's not tremendously helpful, is it? I definitely don't want them ripping all of these out, but apparently it's not Not that big of a deal. So we, at this point, I think we've pretty firmly debunked the whole, hey, they're going to grow and spread thing. So it is what it is. We'll just replant what we can. They just don't have any real room at all, honestly. Let's just blow all this up. Then I can have a more direct staircase coming out of here. Might help us get a little bit more range to the side. Maybe take a little bit away up here. See, I don't know. There's always something that comes up with this. And yes, we do still need more pumping capacity despite all of these things. That's why this aquifer pump thing is very, very appealing to me. Oh, I didn't need double dynamites. No. We don't need that. We do not need that. We need single dynamites. There we go. And then this same kind of thing here. Well, since we're actually using some of this, I'll just have that go. Are they making progress on this? Not really. They did build a hand of soup, though, so that's good. Fried rice can get imported. Now, what about all this? Will the builders do anything? Because now we have negative 23. So we have a lot of incapacitated beavers. Good lord, what happened to my beavers? Are they just injured? Mild disease? Contaminated? Well, I did tell them to remove things that are probably going to make them sick, so... here's what it is. Okay, power shaft here. In the event that we can accidentally make something that's not stupid, I will, yeah, I'm going to have to make this a... there is no four-way. It's only... okay, universal. Adaptive horizontal is... it's cheaper enough. It's fine. We'll just blow that up. So I know, like, this is not, like, a great amount of power coming through here, but... no, it says 0. Never mind. Well, we're going to leave it in place anyway. Just in case. So this here is going to get the upward power shaft. That's going to get the downward power shaft, and then we'll, of course, have to build the actual thing over here. I think the doorway has to go in there. Let me just make sure before we get too far. Yes, okay. That will, in fact, work. Look at him go, filling this thing up. Love to see it. Alright, so we do have some grapes. They're just going to get eaten expeditiously. Alright, that's in. And that's going to go, you know, it is what it is. It's going to add housing, but, you know, I don't think I need to say that too many more times. How are we looking on the explodey bits? Alright, if you are going to walk on this, that's between you and God. So I would advise you not to test that. Good, nobody died. Now what's our range? Did that actually... oh, because I removed the stairs. Okay, well. What about these? Now I just have to put in additional stairs. I probably could have done a ladder with this, but yeah, who cares? I would like to believe that that would be just a tiny bit more accessible, putting this way. Maybe I messed with the geometry too much. I don't know. We're going to find out. But this has given me a little bit of extra space over here that I probably should go ahead and take advantage of. Oh, or am I going to have to wait for them to do literally everything else? No. Okay, they're bringing stuff over. Okay, now. Well, okay, it adjusted the geometry in a way that I don't really think is great, but I guess it's better than nothing. So now the choice that's going to have to be made is, do I reconnect this with some sort of provision to prevent more of this from being removed? I could... you know, I could put some fences in here that would kind of block some of the progress in a certain area. I just don't know that that's really worth doing right now. Okay, this large farmhouse here, they're going to help harvest. There is a little bit of space. I know this is going to look really dumb, but I would like to do it. Just give us as much as we could possibly do. I did say I was going to maybe redo that. I've got another tree to plant. None of those are marked. That's fine. This guy can get turned off. As can this, now that that has been planted. Very quickly, I might add. Okay, now are we generating power? Yes, we maybe. I guess this has to be prioritized again. There is methane in there, so that's good. Indeed. Well, we've been supplying everything. It was just a matter of them actually consuming. And once we have enough science coming in, we can probably swap over to making some of these other things. Bachelor's in Agronomy, honestly, seems like it's going to be the most useful thing right away, but we cannot discount the value of having the nuclear physics, robotics, and all of these other things. It's just a matter of our priorities. Bachelor's in Agronomy does give you the 2-for-1 deal. And that needs mostly stuff we already have over here. Would not be too difficult. I do want to see how fast... Oh, wow. Okay, this makes so much science. This is quite quick. Quite quick. Let's do this. Let's make a pile for sawdust. And then... Wow, I am... It's a lot of science. Let's start making the Bachelor's of Agronomy. I know we're not going to have absolutely everything. But we have 10 beavers working here, and they can almost certainly go and fetch those items that I don't have storage for over here. I do think, though, that we should have storage for mushrooms and logs at the very least. So I will put a storage here for mushrooms. If I can remember where mushrooms are. There we go. And then, again, I need the large industrial... Oh, I've got science now. Who cares? There we go, boys and girls. We've got storage for logs. We've got storage for sawdust. And we can put it right there. Easy. You've been hanging there waiting for me to finish that sentence, and I haven't done that yet. And now I guess I won't, but... That's going to be fine. Prioritized by haulers. Do we need it? Probably not. Am I going to do it anyway? Yes. Alright, so we're 4% of the way to that. They still have not cut down a single giant sequoia. What are you doing, man? Like, what have I done wrong? Like, this is certainly in range. Like, it's within the tolerance here, and I really cannot see anything. But you can clearly see the blue line is there. So I really don't have any clue what else you are expecting me to do to be able to get this done. Because it's not working. Alright, well, that being said, we still need to have a gas tank for endothermic essence, and I was going to think about, oh, maybe I don't want to put it there, but now that it doesn't matter, we'll just go ahead and do that. Endothermic essence, if you are not familiar, is used in some recipes like making ice blocks, which is useful for trade and other things. And I believe it also has a use in the clinic. No, the ice blocks have a use in the clinic to make frost balm, which is now something we can almost get ourselves into. Yeah, you know, we probably want to be redoing some of this, but I think I've reached the point where I don't want to do that in this episode. Well, I don't really know what else I can do if this isn't gonna... Oh, no, it's shaking. They're doing something. They're doing something, but it's not anything to do with these. Okay, that got cut down, so, you know, what's going on? I do, in fact, have a giant log. And now I have 2 giant logs. Can't really do anything with them, but I've got them. Alright, Nenafar production is, it's continuing. I have to know. Maybe this will be a bad idea, but I have to know. Putting this here. Yeah, that's going to give me access to almost every single thing. Okay, well, I have 1,800 lotus flowers as is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them build this. I'm going to let them harvest all of these. And then I'm just going to build a fence because I don't want to play this game anymore. Not literally this game is in the beaver game. This game is in trying to figure out what in the world I can do to stop this from happening here. So we're just going to let them loose. Wreak their havoc. Probably set this to harvesting instead of replanting and then lower the amount of beavers working here, as somebody suggested. Well, not this part, but the lowering the amount so that they're less likely to simultaneously harvest and plant nearby. Because I want them to be able to get basically all of this and then have the cutoff be, I guess, yeah, because I have this harvester's office here. If I'm going to keep something from being removed... Okay, these aren't going to be able to be cut down, but they can be reached by... No, they actually can't. Alright. Well, I thought I was onto something with this one. But we will see. We will see what I'm able to do. I think I've got a decent idea. I mean, we're stable enough on these for a long time. This only takes 12 days to regrow. We're not going to go through those that fast. So if they're focused only on harvesting, then we can maybe start building some sort of a barrier thing. I also, you know, could just unmark a whole thing right here, maybe about to this spot. Just have them harvest all of this and not replant it, and then just experiment putting in some sort of a fence thing and seeing what happens. I'm sure there are worse things that could be done. We can also kind of help ourselves here by blasting, not that bit, by blasting this out. Yeah, let's just yeah, if I've already unmarked, I'm just gonna bring these back up. That was a good idea, but I think doing this way is going to be a little bit faster, and that's what people are looking for. Just get it cut down, get it cut down. Let's go. Unless this does not reach all the way out to where I'm trying to go and I'm just nuts. I guess that's always a possibility. Now, there is also the issue of getting this replanted and then not being able to access. But before we get too crazy, I'm just going to stick this here and see how that affects. Okay, so that basically does nothing because this one is still here. Well, you know, I do still really want to see. Well, I guess we can just leave this as is. It should be alright. This will be able to reach around this. If that's cut off, it might cut it to here. So I'll tell you what, let's... That was the wrong button. That was Enter and F11, not Shift and Backspace. Mind your location of your fingers when you're doing stuff. Apparently F11 is a full-res screenshot in Steam. Maybe? If I am remembering correctly here. Alright, come on. Harvest this thing, please and thank. There we go. Alright, now, putting this here... Okay, that's only going to protect a really small portion. That only lets them reach to here. Okay, that's not great. It's not great, I'll tell you that. Well, you know, this is really not the right way to be doing this. There's so many better things I should have been doing. Putting the ladder here will help this. It will also, you know, give us a little bit of extra range, but I am just fascinated by the idea of trying to corral this in a way that's not completely stupid. This has given actually a decent amount of extra range this way, so that makes it a little bit less terrible. You know, the better solution, obviously, is just to, you know, not do this and figure out literally any other way to make this work. You know as well as I do that we basically can't ever do that here. Okay, this is... Yeah, that's a little bit further out. Alright, so they have harvested. Now before I replant, I just need to make sure that this is going to... Yeah, see, that's really not doing much of anything. That's not going to be enough to really harvest from and have it be any amount of useful. But this coming out to here is going to be able to harvest even less, but they can reach all the way out over here, but these guys can't plant all the way out over here. Man, who set this up? This is garbage. Oh, this is bad. This is bad news, folks. Okay, so that's going to stop them from doing that all the way out. This is going to be able to access just a few more. Ugh, man, I almost feel like it was better not to mess with this at all. Like, this can't possibly be the best way to go about doing this. Like, they're not going to be able to access this. This one here can't even access everything. It's still too far away. I went through all the trouble of putting this harvester's office down here, and they can't even get to it. Well, I think the lesson that there is to be learned about this today is that the way I had it was already fine, and attempting to fix it just made it worse. So, I guess we can all sit here and chew on that. So, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna have to have them replant it, and that's it. And then I'll just have to take these stairs away. Like Ed, Ed, and Eddie all over again. Alright, they can't get these because they don't have explosives. I did say I needed to make more, and then I just kept making wooden toys, but now the wooden toys are full. Alright, so that's fine, and now I've got 5, and I have no more storage for giant logs. I have nothing else for them to do, but that's okay. Wow, we already made bachelors in agronomy. That was, not gonna lie, a little faster than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, so now this is where the bachelors in agronomy... That's not the right one. There we go. That's where these are going to live. And I know I don't need 100 of them, but I can stick the 2 that are in there, and then I can select another one. I could have just left them the ENS, but it's nice to have storage for them. Okay, what does the humanities one do? Please resist the urge to comment about how worthless humanities majors are. Sincerely, someone who studied something like that. But I don't even see it up here. Agronomy. Oh, here it is. You know what? We have the ability to use Tool Finder. Not that way. Is this really the only thing that's going to show up? Alright, well, never mind. I tried. Once again. Well, I have no idea what we can even use that for, so let's not go for that right now. Metallurgy is going to be a pretty important one. Pilot's license is not going to be relevant for a while, but we're going to want to get it eventually. Do I have... Oh, I definitely have. Just need to get more quartz. Is one of these on quartz still? It is. Alright, so that should be somewhat doable. Okay, we have replanted. Now, I guess, just as soon as this is ready to go... I really wanted this to be a little bit more... there we go. Yeah, I wanted them to be able to plant all of these. I wish there's a better way to have these plant but not constantly destroy. Oh well. Can't always get what you want. Just need these 3 to be done here. Have they started getting all the stuff in? Wow, they're actually doing pretty well. Paper is going to be a problem, because this consumes a lot of paper really quickly, so we probably want to set up another paper factory. That is outside the scope of today's episode. But we do need to make sure we do that eventually. Water is also somewhat of a concern. But it is what it is. We're going to wrap things up here pretty soon. Theoretically. Okay, drought approaching. This will be a good place to stop. I just want these 3 dynamite to be put in so I can continue plopping these things down and then get these things reset here. Just have to wait. Okay, for kaboom. And lotuses. All those right there, just moving right along. Okay, I've actually got some here that I can do. There we go. Get those planted, and then I'm going to take away your stairs. Looks like those are done. Okay, so they have access to everything except these, and then the harvester beavers have access to not even all of the ones that are going to be left. Well, it is what it is. They are only going to be able to do what they can do, and there's nothing I can do to change that. But I tried. It should be very, very evident that an effort was made. But that's about all I can do on that. Okay, I think this is about where we have to end it for today. I got basically nothing else I can reasonably do, so I appreciate you being here. We finally have an ENS, and we've made our way onto the other side of the map, and I know there's a bunch of other things that we can do and need to do regarding power, and I had not bothered to set that up because it was going to take way too long, but we can do that next episode or the one after, depending on how time goes. Appreciate the Beard Boosters supporting the channel. As I always say, it is not possible to do it without their support, and their ability to fend off the algorithm a little bit, so to speak. And I'm always going to appreciate those folks, and even if your name's not on that list, I appreciate you too. And I hope whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back again in this playthrough soon. And of course, with the other beavers as well. Take care. Bye-bye.